Hello, hello. So I get this question all of the time. Should you list your rate on your website? In short, the answer is yes, but in today's episode, I'm going to do a deeper dive into that question and really explain why I think that is so important, things that you can do to sort of combat the sticker shock with it, and where specifically on your website you should even list your rate. So I will say, if you are somebody who's like, Kelly, I do not want to list my therapy rate on my website, I feel you. I understand you. I was really scared to do this in the beginning, but I knew how important it was. So I did, right? When I started my private practice, after a few months, I ended up increasing my rate from 150 to 250 and getting off of insurance panels. And that was right about the same time that I gave notice at my nonprofit job. And so I knew that when I gave notice, I was supervising a team of like 60 people, right? I knew that probably the majority of those 60 people, when I told them like, hey, I'm leaving the nonprofit, I started my own therapy practice on the side, I'm going full time, they were probably going to look me up and be a little bit curious with it. And so part of me felt like really embarrassed and mortified even to have this website up that listed my rate because I was working in nonprofits. So we were definitely not like, for-profit institution. There was a lot of values there around helping people that were struggling. I worked in homeless programs. The rates that we were paying our staff were honestly not amazing. Like I think we were paying case managers $40,000 a year, right? And so I was like, these people that I supervise are going to think I'm freaking crazy for charging $250 a session. I thought they were going to think I was like a bad person for not taking insurance or not helping quote unquote poor people anymore, that people were going to give me a hard time about only working with rich people, right? And so I had my like prices up on my website for a few months before that when I was part-time. But when I gave notice, I almost took the prices off my dang website because I was so afraid of other people's judgment. But I reminded myself of the things that I'm going to share in this episode today about why it is so important to have your rate on your website. And so, of course, I kept it up and it was honestly totally fine. Not one person said anything to me. If they judged me, they did it in secret. So the first is this idea that like if you list your rate on your website, people are going to think you are too expensive. Now, you might be too expensive for some people. That is okay. But I think it's really important that people know what your rate is so that way they can make that decision for themselves, right? And at the end of the day, even with a rate like $250 per session, there are plenty of people who are able to pay that rate and will pay for it because therapy with you is something that they value, right? And you will see this as you sort of transition your caseload if you're going from insurance or if you're going from community mental health or if you're increasing your private pay rate. People show up differently when they are paying a lot for therapy, whatever that number of a lot is for them, right? You show up quite differently than if you are going to therapy for free or you're paying a $20 copay, right? People value what they pay for. And so I think that it is just super helpful to remind yourself of that. I personally pay my therapist now $300 per session. I love her. I show up every week and I know exactly what I want to talk about. I'm like ready to dive in. I leave sessions feeling like it was such a fair exchange and it feels really good for me to get support from her. I've worked with her for like 3 or 4 years now. And so I think that it's just to show you like there are people who it's going to feel really good for them to pay a lot for therapy because they're getting a lot out of therapy. So please do not like discount yourself and think that everyone's going to assume that it's too expensive and not want to work with you. The second thing I want to add is that therapy is not actually as unaffordable as you may think it is, right? So a lot of people have out-of-network benefits that make therapy more affordable. I personally do not have out-of-network benefits on my current insurance plan, which is a bummer, but I used to, right? And I used to get 80% of my sessions reimbursed when I first started working with my current therapist. And that was amazing, right? I'm not going to do math off the top of my head because I'm pretty bad at it. So let me pull up my calculator here. But $250 per session, and they were covering 80%. So I would get a $200 check back for every session, which meant that I paid $50 per session. That was super affordable, even in the early stages of me building my private practice, right? And so that I think is super helpful. I have a calculator from a company called Mentaya on my website that actually allows people to check their insurance benefits and see if they have out-of-network benefits, to see what their company will reimburse them, and how much they'll pay for therapy out of pocket. I will include in the show notes a link and code for 1 free month with Mentaya if you're interested in having that calculator on your website. But I think that can be super helpful of just like lessening that sticker shock for therapy. The other thing I'll say in terms of it being too expensive is I want you to think about how many people you truly need to have a full caseload, right? If you are seeing clients at $250 per session and you see 15 clients a week, that's $3,750 per week. Let's say you take 4 weeks of vacation a year, 48 weeks per year you're working. That's $180,000 by seeing 15 clients per week, right? You do not need to be affordable to every single person in your state. You need to be affordable to 15 people. You need to find 15 people who value your services, who feel confident that you can help them, and who are happy to pay that amount of money every week. That is super, 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 super doable. And so I just want you to kind of keep that in mind. The other piece is the power of transparency. Listing your rates on your website can build a ton of trust. Now, I don't know about you. Maybe there's like some money mindset stuff I need to work with for myself here. But if there is not a price listed on a website, I automatically assume that I cannot afford it. And that's as somebody who literally makes $1 million per year. If I see a website, if I'm looking for a service and I do not see their pricing listed, my assumption is I cannot afford it. It is going to be crazy, crazy, crazy expensive, right? That's just like a silly thing. You're like working against yourself here by not listing your rates, right? You're making people count themselves out when they might actually be able to afford your services, right? But you're so afraid of being seen that you're stopping people from even having the information to make that choice for themselves, right? You're not trusting them that they can know their own finances and they can make their own decision. And honestly, I find it super shady. I found that the only businesses that really do that are people who want to like get you on a sales call and really like convince you and like pressure you on the spot to put a deposit down or something. And I don't think that that's a good way to operate, especially as a therapist, but really in any business. I remember when we first adopted Josie, I was like looking for dog trainers and I was calling a bunch of places like who I saw good reviews on, and I was getting like some pricing information on if they would come to the house, if I had to go to them, etc. And there was this place that had like the best reviews in Miami. They were top notch, and they would not give me a price over the phone. And I was like, can you let me know if it's like, give me a range. Is it like a few $100s? Is it like 1,000 to 5,000? Is it 10,000 plus? Like, how much are you charging for training? And they're like, ma'am, it's so specific. Like, we can't give you any range. We have to come out to your house. We have to meet your dog. We have to have the sales conversation with you, and then we will give you a quote. And I just told them, like, I'm not doing that, right? Like, I asked to speak to a manager. I'm like, I'm busy. I'm not spending all this time having you come to my home. Give me a generic rate. I understand that the pricing could be customized, right? Maybe it's not going to be exactly what you tell me, but I'm trying to get like a general ballpark here of how much this is going to cost. The manager wouldn't give me anything. And so I was like, I'm not going to work with you then, right? Like, it was just so frustrating to me to not have that transparency there. And so I think that you really, really, really do not want to do this with your clients, especially as a therapist. And the other reason is like, it's a waste of your time, right? It's a waste of your time and it's a waste of your client's time. Why do you want to get people on an intro call who have no idea how much it costs to work with you, who have no idea whether or not they can afford your services? You want to have that be upfront. You want people to have already decided, yes, this is in my budget, or yes, I have the right insurance benefits to make this work. And then for the call to just be about fit, right? You should rarely get price objections on intro calls because people should know the price before they show up, right? That makes it so much easier for you. It takes out so much guilt, right? There is no worse feeling than doing an intro call with somebody, hearing about all the ways that they're struggling, telling them how amazing you are and how much you're going to help them, having them say like, yes, I want to work with you, having you be excited to fill that spot on your caseload, and then getting to price and then being like, oh, no, I can't afford that. Like, you could have saved yourself all that hassle from the jump. So I really encourage you to put your pricing on your website. The other thing that it does when you list your website is it communicates your expertise and value, right? You having a higher rate tells your clients that you are confident in yourself as a therapist. It tells people that you are the best and the best of your niche. It conveys confidence in your work, right? People make all sorts of judgments about the quality of your services based off of your rate, right? I know I've shared this example before, but like if you think about a McDonald's burger, $2, Five Guys burger, 10, $15, burger at a steakhouse, $40, right? What burger do you think is going to be the best? I think the assumption most of us have is the burger at the steakhouse because it's the fanciest, because it's the most expensive, because they probably have the best meat and the best chefs, right? Our brains kind of make those assumptions, right? And so sometimes even you having a higher rate and listing it really clearly on your website helps people who have been looking for the right therapist for themselves, for their kid, for, their partner to say, yeah, she's the one, like I want to do this right. And I think that is so, so, so huge. And I think that there is a lot that you can do to sort of convey that you have the right to charge, X amount per therapy session, right? And to sort of like create like a luxury experience for your clients. So one, I definitely recommend investing in your website, whether that is with hiring like a professional web designer, if it's hiring a photographer and getting some high-end brand images, but making sure that your website feels professional, it feels polished, it feels like a website of somebody who would charge $200 plus per session. Instagram is also really, really, really helpful with sort of building that credibility that you are a therapist who can charge this amount, right? Content creation can really help you in that way because it helps your people to feel seen, heard, and understood, right? You have 1,000 followers, 5,000 followers, 10,000 followers. That shows that you are an authority in that space. You talking consistently day in, day out about the same things in your niche allows people to perceive you as an expert in that space, right? That is truly so important in terms of being able to charge. And then it also just allows you to like show up better for your clients when you charge more because presumably, I hope you are therefore seeing less clients, right? You're able to show up for your clients like mentally and like really be present in sessions, remember things that they're talking about, the names of all the people in their life, all of that. Do research outside of sessions, do trainings outside of sessions. Maybe you have more flexibility in your calendar in terms of like people need to reschedule and you have multiple times to offer them instead of being like, I'm totally full. I see 40 clients a week. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Sorry, my calendar is jam packed, right? You can have like an electronic health record. I use Jane and it has like this whole client portal for clients. So they can see their super bills right away. They can see, their invoices. They can update and reschedule sessions. They can log in for like our telehealth session. It has good camera quality, all of that. I also mentioned Mentaya earlier, right? I do like a concierge service with them. So I actually pay the 5% fee for my clients and I submit claims through Mentaya for them after every session. So that way they don't have to worry about anything with getting the out-of-network benefits reimbursed. I submit the claim for them. They don't pay any extra for that. I now charge $275 per session. I'm happy to include that with my fee. And that sort of like up levels that experience for them. But I think when you charge a really high premium and you are transparent with that, you are able to do like the little things in your business that just make it easier for your clients, right? And allow them to feel like, yes, she is legit. Yes, this is like the best therapist. Yes, this is the best client experience. And therefore they're, happy to continue to pay that rate. The last thing I will say is to surround yourself with people who make having a high rate okay, who do not judge you, who do not go to your website and talk smack about you, right? But instead who really hype you up. There's a saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, which really suggests that, your habits, your behavior, your mindset are heavily, heavily influenced by the people that you surround yourself with. So kudos for you for listening to this podcast. I hope that this gives you like so much confidence that you are allowed to charge whatever the heck you want to charge. Make sure that you are surrounding yourself with other therapists who say the same thing, right? This might be in my VIP community for Private Practice Academy alumni. It might be, specific therapist Facebook groups for private pay clinicians, not the insurance ones. Those are full of like toxic shamey stuff. It might be other therapists on Instagram, right? It might be you throwing local networking events in your community, but find other therapists who are charging a premium. network with other therapists who are charging the same or higher than you, right? And who make you feel really, really good for having good rates and make you feel like this is something you can stand confidently behind. It's not something to be ashamed of. It doesn't make you a bad therapist. It doesn't make you greedy. In fact, it makes you a really freaking good business owner, and it's something you should be super, super proud of. If you ever need somebody to hype you up for this, please send me a DM. I am your girl. There is no rate that you can say that will like stun me or make me think like that's unreasonable for a therapist. So yeah, go for it. List your rates clearly. Your future clients will thank you. You will get way more clients than having people just assume that they cannot afford to work with you, even though they probably can. And I wish you all of the luck.